I'm here with Amberly Lago, who is a author, coach, resilience expert, mother, and she is here to, and a specialist, I guess, in the concept of turning tragedy into triumph. And it's fairly safe to say that the earth is going through a tragic time right now, and you've been thinking about this stuff heavily for I don't know how long. So would you like to share a little bit about how you're looking at the situation and how people can benefit from your point of view?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to share and excited to be here. Thank you. And when we first got into this situation, it really took me back to the time about 10 years ago that I had experienced personally when I had a life changing moment. I almost died after I was hit by an SUV while riding my motorcycle home from work, and thrown 30 feet. My leg was completely crushed. I woke up from a coma, and the doctors told me I had a 1% chance of saving my leg from amputation. And being a dancer and an athlete and a professional fitness trainer my whole life, that was devastating news.
Mm-hmm.
That 1% chance, though, was that glimmer of hope that I needed that got me through the next 34 surgeries to save my leg from amputation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the real struggle began when I was diagnosed with a nerve disease, which leaves me in constant chronic pain called complex regional pain syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole process reminds me, I know it's totally different, but the similarities were I was on lockdown, except it was worse because I was completely bedridden for months at a time, and I couldn't leave the house, and I lost my job, which so many people are losing their jobs right now. And I was out of work for a year and a half. Our medical bills were through the roof. We had a lien on our house, and I had to completely reinvent myself, find a different career path, and do things. I had to pivot my business. And so at this moment, I feel like there are a lot of times that people are in lockdown. They're not able to leave their houses. They're having to pivot their businesses and do things a little bit differently. And so there are a lot of similarities there. And I have this hope in me that I want to convey to other people, that all we need is that little glimmer of hope to pull us through these moments right now. And we can turn tragedy into triumph. And in the end, we can really have a whole new perspective on our lives, on the whole world. And I feel like we are all in this together globally. And so it gives me hope in knowing that, yes, it is a hard time, but there is hope that things will get better. We may have to do things differently, but I think that we will now appreciate so many little things in life that maybe we took for granted before.
Okay, that's beautiful. So you've been through such an experience, and you were bedridden for, like you said, months. So you've gone through this. You've thought about. You've been thinking about it deeply. So how long ago was that?
That was about 10 years ago.
10 years ago. So you
And
went
and
through
it
it.
took me years to really climb out of that. And that's the thing. I don't think this is going to be a quick fix where all of a sudden we get back to work right away. I think that it may take some time. And boy, does that take patience, which is not my strong point. But I think it's looking outside of the box at things that we can do differently, and
So
all doing our part.
So yeah, so you've been through it. You've been thinking about it now for 10 years. Now, many of our audience, many of us are going through something like this for the first time. So,
Mm-hmm.
and from your experience, you emerged with this with deep theories about resilience. What
Mm-hmm.
are the core ideas or principles? I know you have your PACER framework. What are the core ideas that are
Mm-hmm.
relevant right now in the middle of the trauma, in the middle of the tragedy?
Okay, well, that's the thing. Because I live with chronic pain every day, I had to come up with something. Like, once I realized we have this inner resilience, all of us do, within us, and there are ways to strengthen it. And that was what was my glimmer of hope, that, oh, okay, we have this resilience within us, and there are ways of strengthening it. And so it wasn't something that I did and now I'm all better. It's something that I continue to do every single day. So I wake up and I'm willing to do these things. And so I needed something quick as a reminder to remind me, okay, I'm not feeling so resilient. What have I missed? What did I not do? And so there are 5 things that I do every single day in order to strengthen my resilience, and anybody can do them.
Mhm.
It's perspective. PACER stands for acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. So with perspective, I tried all kinds of medications, from spinal stimulator, infusion, spinal stimulator, spinal blocks. Nothing was working for my pain. And it wasn't until I started to shift my mindset did things start to get better for me, I started to see the upside of things. And so we all have the ability to shift our perspective.
Okay.
And am I still there?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making
Sorry.
sure. I know we cut out.
No,
Okay, so I'm going to tell you some ways to shift your perspective. Now, you can call it hunting for the good, counting your blessings, getting grateful. And it might be really hard to think of being grateful in a time like this, when you're like, how can I be grateful? I lost my job, or I don't know when my next paycheck's coming in, or I can't even go to the store, I can't see my friends, or you can focus on what you don't have. But when you focus on what you do have, when you focus on what you're grateful for, it really allows you to see what you can do instead of what you can't do, and what you do have instead of what you don't have. So there's always something to be grateful for. I mean, when I was stuck in the hospital bed, in the hospital room, I stared down at my leg, which I didn't know if today was the day they were going to amputate it or not. And I felt that spiraling down into despair. And I thought, I have a choice here. I can either go down that road of despair, or I can do everything I can to keep my mindset positive. So I started writing down in the journal. And I know, as like cheesy as that may sound, when I started writing down in that journal things that I was grateful for, whether it was the view that I had from the window in the hospital room, the nurses that came in and helped take care of me, friends that were actually bringing me food, that I had food, that I woke up, I started really focusing on everything, that all the blessings in my life. And I noticed a difference in how I was feeling. And then when I got out of the hospital, I was in denial. I did not want to look at what was going on in my life, which right now I think a lot of people are in denial, maybe. Like, I know I was this morning. I woke up and the first thing that I learned was, in Los Angeles, we may be on lockdown for a minimal of 2 more months, up to 5 months. And I was a little bit in denial of, oh, this will be over soon. And then it hit me like, no, this is the new normal. And once we are in acceptance, which is the second part of PACER, when we're in acceptance, we can really take action steps to make our situation the best that it can be. So whether that is, okay, what is my action plan today? I better start on my workout routine and still stay strong, because I'm not going to be able to get to a gym for a long time. And by the way, working out, that is free medicine right there. That is feel-good medicine, because it releases endorphins in your body and it makes you feel good. So it's not just about getting your body strong, but it's about really getting those endorphins and feeling good. And also with people that are under the same roof, like me and my family. And you saw in my Instagram video that my husband was like, we were driving him crazy. It's like, exercise can make you feel better.
No.
And so the third part of the PACER method that I teach is community. And the amazing thing about what's going on now is that we may be isolated, we may be, self-distancing, but I feel more connected to my community now than ever before. Thank God for Zoom. I mean, here it's 5 o'clock in the morning, there it's like 4 in the afternoon or something like that, and we're able to connect from so far away. And I think that there's power in community. And those of you who feel alone, just know you are never alone. There are so many people, that support groups, there is Zoom, there is FaceTime. Just don't, just because we're alone doesn't mean that we have to be lonely. And when I reached out to people and started sharing what my biggest struggles were, was when it really led me to a community of people that I felt like, oh, when someone's going through something similar to you, there's magic in that, and you feel unstoppable. And right now, we are all going through this together. But it's going to take a lot of endurance. And that is the fourth part of Pacer. And that is really getting up every day and deciding to get gritty. And that's where passion and perseverance come into play. And I think something that helps with that is every day since this whole pandemic, I have been on a schedule. I still set my alarm. I get up. I have my morning routine. I think a morning routine and a nightly routine is essential, especially in this time, because all the days can start to blend into one. So if you can create a morning routine where you really write down what you're grateful for, write down your intention for the day, and schedule something in your day that you look forward to. Find moments of joy, anything that sparks joy, whether that's FaceTiming a friend or, listening to a podcast or whatever, dancing in your living room, whatever that may be that sparks joy. And really just to keep yourself motivated, because one of the ways I keep myself motivated is to stick with a routine. And those really, it's not about the big goal. It's really about all of those habits that precede the goal. And then it's really knowing when to push past where we thought we could push ourselves, like whether that's with this whole, like having enough patience for this whole thing, or working out a little more when we're not in the gym and we're at home and we don't have a trainer or somebody that we're accountable for, that we're doing it on our own. And it's knowing when to push past where we thought we could go, but it's also giving ourselves the gift of grace and knowing when to rest. And I think now that's the last part of Pacer. And that's always been the hardest part for me. Rest has always been kind of hard. And I feel like right now, the whole world has got this big pause reset button that's been pushed on it. And we're all being forced to kind of rest and recover and reboot. And so I think that time, just being in that moment of stillness, which was so hard for me because I kept myself busy for so long because I was running away from all of my shame, from past trauma, from fear, from depression. I would run until I couldn't run anymore and I was stuck in a hospital bed. And so I think now is a good time for people to give themselves permission to rest and go inward and ask themselves, what do I want out of this precious life? What is the most important thing for me? What are my big goals and dreams? And so, and it's okay at this time to give yourselves a day where you do stay in your pajamas all day, or you do take some time off of work. And, everything will, maybe it won't be back to normal. And I hope that we're not back to normal. I hope that this all creates a shift in all of us where we have a deeper appreciation for what we do have, where we have more compassion for our neighbor, where we are kinder, where we are looking at the world and doing our part to make it, a better, cleaner environment. And so I hope we don't bounce back. I hope that that's not resilience, what resilience is to me. Resilience is still finding joy and finding a life of courage and happiness despite what your circumstances are. It is being able to still find joy and happiness and live the life of your dreams no matter what.
Nice. Beautiful. Okay, so my original question was, as someone who has been deeply through, major trauma, analyzed it, studied it, contemplated it for, about a decade, built a framework, etc. Your answer to my question of how should people be coping with this is to go back to your framework, the PACER framework, which you've just outlined. And what else?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what? Look, I'm not a doctor. I honestly, am I an expert at anything? The only thing I'm an expert at is falling down a lot and getting back up. And what I know to be true is that we can rise up from anything. We can, look, I lived on the dance floor, the track, and the gym floor my whole life. When I was 38 years old and I was hit by the SUV, I didn't even own a computer. Afterwards, I decided this could not have happened for just no reason. I have to share how I made it through 34 surgeries and in and out of hospitals for years. I have to share this with someone who's struggling so that they know that they will get through this hard time as well. And so I decided to write a book. And I didn't even own a computer. I hand wrote my whole book.
Oh my God.
I had to learn. I didn't even know how to send an email with an attachment to it. And so I had to learn a lot. I didn't even have a college education. I've got a high school diploma. If I can figure out how to reinvent myself, how to buy a computer, how to sit here on a Zoom with you from all the way across the globe, anything is possible, believe me. I think that too is where our passion comes in. And I think this moment it's going to allow people the opportunity to decide what are they most passionate about? What do they really want to do? Maybe some.
Could I just go a bit precise on that? Because the passion question is one of the, like in my conversations, I'm always asking people, what are they passionate about, etc. What are your dreams, etc. And many people don't know. What is your approach for, okay, let's say we are doing this big reset. People have realized, holy crap, I'm doing something I don't love doing. What am I doing with my life? There is that whole thing going on. How does someone identify or choose a passion or something like that? Do you have any approaches to that?
Yeah, I think it's doing what sparks joy in you. Does it make you, and here's the thing, it doesn't have to be, I don't look at it as big or small. Like, you don't have to be out changing the world for your passion or your purpose or your calling to be big or small. It all matters. Your passion may be to, like my mom, her passion, her whole life's purpose was all she ever wanted to be was a good mom. And she's the most amazing mom.
Yep.
But, my passion is to give others hope and inspire them. So I may not be changing the world by doing that, but I can make a difference in one person's life, then I'm happy. I wrote my book with that approach of, look, maybe no one will ever read my book, but if one person reads it and it changes their life, then that gives my pain purpose. So someone can find their passion by just getting curious with the idea of, what do I enjoy that brings liveliness into my day. What get curious. Is that, something that has changed your life? Maybe that's gardening.
That's exactly one of the techniques. If you're really having a hard time, like, I don't really care about anything, if that's your sort of approach. Well, what are you curious about? That can be the thread that you pull on to figure out. Yeah, that's one approach. Interesting.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, get curious. What is it? Maybe you want to work with kids. Maybe you love to cook. My girlfriend started a food service, and you know what? Her business is booming right now because people don't want to go out to the store and they trust her, so they're ordering her food. So you never know, At one point I thought I'm going to go into making socks, compression socks, because I had to wear compression socks for so long, and there were no cute compression socks out there whatsoever. So I was curious about, where the heck do you find cute compression socks? Now I think there's some available, and I didn't go into the sock business, but that was all by just getting curious. I never would have thought that I would have ever started a podcast, but I love talking to thought leaders so much and picking their brains and getting to meet them, that it's one of the favorite things that I do, is to get to do the podcast, because I love talking to people.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, we've covered the PACER framework, the resilience framework. We've covered a little bit about using this time to rethink dreams, passions, missions, reasons for being here. Are there any other main approaches? Like, for example, I know that you have a family. We haven't had many maternal perspectives so far in the event. Do you have any kind of parenting approaches or ideas?
Yeah. You know what? I think that our children either learn how to manage panic and mania and stress and chaos, or they learn to be resilient. And I think that we can be the biggest examples for them right now. My daughter she's really had the time of her life at home. One day there's been a few days she's been in a robe all day playing. She's she's a horseback rider, an equestrian. So if she's not riding her horse, she's pretending to be a horse. Or, as you saw in my story on Instagram, she's lined up 200 horses up and down the stairs. Yeah, we counted them like 200.
That wasn't you. Okay.
And so, yeah, I think that our children learn how we set the tone for them. If we are anxious, and which, I think we can all be anxious. And I think it's important. Like the other day, I think I was kind of in my safe little bubble of home, and I went to the store, and it felt like a war zone, and desperation. And it was how people were treating each other. They looked at you, even though I had a mask on, they looked at you like you had the plague. And I accidentally ran over my daughter's foot because I was in a hurry. And she's like, "Mom, you just ran over my foot." And I'm like, I'm sorry. I was like, "This is serious. We got to get out of here. This isn't safe." Yes. And I was like, "I'm sorry. You know what? I just got a little bit scared." And you're right. I don't have to rush out of here and run over your foot doing it. Like, I need to take a breath. We all need to take a breath and make sure that we're spent like this time has allowed me to see that, I have been so focused on work that these days with my daughter, who's 11, have been going so fast. And what's really important to me is spending time with our kid, my children. And, I think it's so important. This is giving people the opportunity to spend quality time with their kids. And if they're scared, talk to their kids about, yeah, I'm feeling scared, but I know that if I just acknowledge that I'm scared and let those feelings pass, if you acknowledge it, they'll pass. They'll usually pass in about 90 seconds. And so it's really teaching our children to acknowledge their feelings and talking about it and then letting it pass. you know, I made the mistake of stuffing my feelings down and trying to numb it out or deflect or just run from them. And, you know, they will always catch up to us. Pain, shame, fear, all of that. We can try to numb it out, but it will always come right back up to the surface. So if we just deal with it right away, then we can carry on, you know. And so I think at this time, spending that time with our kids, assuring them that there are different ways to still have fun. My daughter and I were playing hide and seek in the house here yesterday. We went out for a bike ride. You know, we can still get out, thank goodness, and go for a little bike ride around the neighborhood. Our trails here are closed, so we were going for hikes every day until they closed the trails. And thank goodness we have still been able to go to the barn, and it's so therapeutic to just get to be with her horse, or, you know, people who are alone. And thank goodness, you know, my girlfriend has her dog. My other girlfriend has her cat. And so I think that our fur babies can be just as comforting at this point. And if you don't have a fur baby or any children, give yourself a hug. Man, I'm all for just like, give yourself a hug. Stop every day and give yourself a hug.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you for all of your support with putting on this event. It's been really appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
We will share all of your key resources and everything with the speaker notes.
Thank you.
Are there any, we've covered a lot of like very valuable material. Are there any parting words or thoughts? Sorry to put you on the spot, but anything you'd like to leave?
Oh, no, I mean, I just think one of the most important things that people can do is to reach out. That was something that was really, really hard for me growing up in Texas, where I was taught, you know, hide your crazy and be a lady and cowgirl up. We don't have to cowgirl up, which all the time. We need to share how we're feeling. And if I can say anything to anybody who's listening right now, please reach out and talk to somebody. Reach out to me. I answer all my emails. I answer all my DMs. I'm happy to talk to you. So please reach out to me. You know, I just really feel like that now is the time for us to come together as a community and support each other. And I think that true resilience is really coming together as a community, and that, you know, the world may be stopped right now, but our dreams, our visions, they are unstoppable. And so keep dreaming big and going after your goals, because there is a way to still reach your goals, even though we might have to pivot them a little bit. So anything is possible with grit and grace.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.